Justice has finally arrived. Suspect in the Menglong case arrested. Facing decades in prison. But who is this person? And what shocking secrets will the trial uncover? Let's dive into the truth together with Red Carpet Revealed, right now. The headline spread across the globe like wildfire. Justice had been delayed for far too long, but now, the world was finally seeing the first sign that it might arrive. Authorities confirmed that a suspect had been taken into custody in connection with the death of beloved actor Menglong. And the announcement shook fans, journalists, the entire industry that had been living under the weight of unanswered questions. The man once celebrated for his radiant smile and unforgettable performances was gone. But his story had never truly ended. The arrest proved it. His absence was not just a tragedy but part of a deeper, darker chain of events. And now one link in that chain had been snapped. The road to this moment was long and treacherous. Menglong was more than just another celebrity in China's glittering entertainment world. He was a cultural touchstone, a symbol of persistence and charm. His career rose like a comet, and his popularity made him a household name. Those closest to him knew that behind the image was a fragile soul battling storms no camera could capture. Friends described him as warm but increasingly withdrawn in the final months of his life. His family remembered late-night breakdowns where he confessed to feeling bullied and suffocated by pressures that never relented. He was a star adored by millions but cornered by a system that seemed determined to break him. The night of his death still lingers like a scar. The official statements were short, clinical, offering no real explanation. Calls went unanswered. Messages left unread. Rumors swirled like smoke across social media. The agency handling him released a carefully polished line about deep condolences while fans screamed into the void for truth. His parents retreated into silence. Grief too immense to share. Their eyes heavy with secrets they dared not voice. But silence only fed suspicion. What had truly happened that night? Why did the story not align with the fragments fans uncovered online? The first cracks in the wall came months later, when leaked forensic documents began circulating online. At first dismissed as fakes, they quickly gained traction when details inside them matched previously unknown facts about his final hours. The leaks suggested inconsistencies, timestamps that didn't align, substances unmentioned in official reports, and messages from his phone that hinted at fear and betrayal. The world that mourned him turned its grief into outrage. Hashtags demanding justice lit up screens. Justice for Menglong, truth exposed. Candlelight vigils erupted in cities across Asia. His songs, replayed at these gatherings, sounded different now, every lyric weighed down with cries for help fans had failed to hear. Then came the most explosive revelation of all, the leaked video. Blurry but devastating. It appeared to show Menglong in his final moments, his face pale, his voice trembling as he whispered words too faint to fully catch. Analysts claimed additional voices could be heard in the background. Faint but undeniable. There with him. Why was he being filmed? The questions spread faster than the answers. And the industry began to tremble under the weight of mounting suspicion. The family, shattered by grief, finally spoke, admitting that Menglong had often returned home in tears, describing relentless bullying and isolation. But he had refused to give names. "If I say it out loud," he once told his mother, "destroy everything." The leaks pushed investigators into action. Quietly at first, they re-examined evidence. They re-interviewed witnesses, combed through digital records, and reconstructed the final days of Menglong's life. What they found was not a simple tragedy but a labyrinth of pressure, silence, and cruelty. Behind the polished facade of entertainment was an ecosystem that thrived on exploitation. And Menglong had been its most tragic casualty. The leaked material forced their hand. What came next no one could have predicted. This week, after months of speculation, the police finally announced that a suspect had been arrested. They did not reveal every detail immediately, but enough to ignite a firestorm. The suspect, once a figure of quiet power within the industry, now stood accused of playing a direct role in pushing Menglong toward the abyss. Faces of fans lit up with disbelief and anger as the news broke. Was it really possible that someone so close to the system had finally been held accountable? Could this be the beginning of justice for their fallen idol? Outside the courthouse where the announcement was made, fans gathered in waves. Some cried tears of relief, holding posters of Menglong with candles flickering in the cold wind. Others shouted slogans, demanding harsher punishments, demanding full truth, demanding names of accomplices. The energy was electric, a mixture of grief and fury. And for the first time since his death, also hope. The family, though cautious, allowed themselves to breathe for the first time in months. His mother, her voice breaking, said, "Son deserved better. But maybe now he will find peace." His father added quietly, "Justice has only begun. This is not the end." Their words captured the national mood perfectly, a moment of relief shadowed by the realization that one arrest would never erase the pain or answer every question. The media went into overdrive. Every outlet ran specials about Menglong's life, his tragic end, and the arrest that had turned his story from mystery to legal battle. Analysts speculated about the sentence, 20 years minimum. Possibly more if additional charges stuck. Colleagues came forward with their own stories of pressure, of whispered threats, of contracts designed to strip away humanity. Suddenly, Menglong's case was no longer just about him. It was a symbol of everything broken in the industry. Yet the biggest question still hung in the air: what evidence had finally cracked the case wide open? Rumors swirled of recovered phone data, of witnesses once silenced who had now spoken. Forensic findings long buried but impossible to deny. Police promised answers would come at trial, but until then, the world speculated wildly. Fans scoured every old interview, every old post, desperate to connect dots that might reveal the full picture. The suspect's face was splashed across newsstands, but behind them lurked the shadow of others who had not yet been named. Was this suspect just a beginning? Was justice truly on its way? Or was this a sacrificial pawn offered to quiet public fury? Ends here, at the edge of revelation. Suspect is in custody, facing decades behind bars. The world is watching. The family is waiting. And fans are burning with questions that demand answers. The trial looms like a storm on the horizon, racing to either confirm suspicions or unleash new ones. And everyone knows this is far from over. Justice may have finally arrived, but truth is still on trial. The suspect's arrest was only the beginning. As the news settled over a grieving nation, the story shifted from whispers of conspiracy to the harsh reality of courtroom drama. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, chants echoing through the streets, "Justice for Menglong." They carried candles, posters of his smiling face, banners demanding the truth. Inside, the man accused of playing a role in the star's tragic end stood in handcuffs, his expression unreadable. For the first time, silence that had smothered the case cracked open under the weight of evidence and accountability. Investigators revealed fragments of their findings, enough to chill even the most hardened skeptics. For months they had combed through Menglong's digital life, his phones, his laptops, his private messages. What they uncovered was a pattern of manipulation and threats. Words hidden between friendly greetings, pressure cloaked in contracts, fear disguised as guidance. One message read, "If you want to protect your family, stay quiet." Another, recovered from a deleted chat, simply said, "You know the consequences." These words, famous at first, were later linked back to the suspect through digital fingerprints too precise to ignore. The leaks that had haunted fans for months turned out to be crucial. Forensic reports, once dismissed as fabrications, validated in court. The toxicology inconsistencies, the timeline gaps, video fragments, each detail added to a puzzle that painted a chilling picture of Menglong's final days. Experts testified about the shadows in the leaked video, suggesting the presence of another person in the room. Analysts confirmed the voice in the background matched recordings of the suspect. Piece by piece, the truth emerged. It was darker than anyone had feared. The family's testimony shook the courtroom. Menglong's mother, clutching a framed photo of her son, as she recalled his late-night confessions. "He told me he was being bullied. He felt trapped. But he never gave me names. I begged him to fight. But he said he couldn't. He said, 'End me if I resist.' Now I know who he meant." Her words cracked the silence, leaving even the judge visibly shaken. His father's testimony was quieter but just as devastating. He described watching his son spirit him over the years. His laughter replaced by silence. His dreams overshadowed by dread. "He was my boy," the father said, his voice breaking. "And they stole him from me." Suspect's defense argued he was being scapegoated. That the evidence was circumstantial. That the industry itself was guilty of creating unbearable conditions. But the prosecution countered with damning precision. Financial records showed coercive contracts tied directly to the suspect. Witnesses, once too afraid to speak, came forward to describe a culture of intimidation. One young actor testified, trembling, that he had overheard threats made directly to Menglong. He said if Menglong didn't follow orders, he'd regret it. I didn't understand then, but now I do. Courtroom fell silent as the weight of the words settled. The day of the trial was a storm. Reporters swarmed the courthouse steps. Fans packed the galleries. And the world tuned in to live updates. Outside, vigils transformed into protests, with chants growing louder, demanding not just justice for Menglong but reform for an entire industry. His case had become bigger than one man. It was a rallying cry for change. Politicians promised new regulations. Activists demanded protections for performers. Fellow stars broke their silence to share stories of exploitation and fear. Menglong's death was no longer just a personal tragedy, it was a turning point. The climax came when the prosecution played the final piece of evidence, a recording recovered from Menglong's phone. Everyone hinted at in the leaked files. His voice, fragile and broken, filled the courtroom. Hearing this, I couldn't escape. They said this was the end for me. And maybe they're right. But know this, I tried. I wanted to keep fighting. But I couldn't carry it alone. Gasps filled the room. His words were not just testimony from beyond the grave, they were a damning indictment of those who had trapped him. The suspect's face paled as the recording echoed through the chamber. The jury's eyes hardened with certainty. The verdict arrived like a thunderclap. Guilty on multiple counts. Facing a minimum of 20 years in prison. The judge's words were sharp and unyielding. This court recognizes that while no sentence can restore what was lost, justice demands accountability. Outside, the crowd erupted. Of relief mixing with chants of victory. The family wept openly. Each other as fans sang Menglong's songs in unison. For the first time since his death, there was a sense of closure, fragile, incomplete, but real. Yet even in victory, questions remained. Was this suspect the only one responsible? Or were they simply the face of a system built on silence and exploitation? The prosecution hinted at further investigations. Suggested more arrests could follow. The industry held its breath, knowing Menglong's case had cracked open a door that could never be closed again. His legacy transformed overnight. No longer just the actor with a radiant smile, he became a symbol of resistance, a reminder of the human cost behind the glittering world of fame. Dramas were rewatched not as simple entertainment. Fragments of a man speaking through art. His songs played at rallies, vigils, and even political gatherings. His voice now an anthem for justice. The image of his mother, standing before cameras with tears in her eyes but strength in her voice, became iconic. My son will not be forgotten, she said firmly. There will the truth. The trial ended, the suspect led away in chains. But Menglong's story continues to echo. Justice has arrived. But the fight is not finished. His name now carries weight. His memory now a force. His tragedy now a catalyst for change. Fans still light candles in his honor. But their tears are no longer only of grief, they are of determination. Voice, silenced in life, speaks louder in death. The world to never turn away again. Because Menglong's story is no longer just about a star who fell. It is about justice rising from silence. Truth clawing its way into the light. And about a family in a nation that refused to forget. One suspect may be behind bars. But the legacy of Menglong demands more. Those still linger, but now, the world is watching. Perhaps that is the greatest justice of all. The verdict may have been read. The suspect may now face decades behind bars. But Menglong's story does not end here. His name is etched into the hearts of millions. Not only as an actor and singer, but as a voice that refused to disappear. Even in silence, justice has begun. Justice is also a journey, one that demands vigilance, reform, and courage to confront the shadows that still linger. For his family, for his fans, and for every soul silenced by the weight of fame, Menglong's legacy burns brighter than ever. Life was stolen, but his truth has been reclaimed. And now, every candle lit in his memory is no longer just a symbol of grief, but of defiance, of hope, of change. Thank you for staying with us through this emotional journey. This has been Red Carpet Revealed, bringing you the stories others fear to tell. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and remember, the truth always finds its way to the light. See you in the next story.